All right, great to see you guys. I'm just going to start off with Brian R. Smith. Oh, you lucky devil. Well, I'll pop on your quote here, your comment. It's cloudy here, and yeah, right now, as you probably know, we're probably similar temperature to you. But if it was sunny out, oh my gosh, it'd be really, really warm. It'd be nice because there's no wind. Anyways, great to see you guys. Tolemykus, we'll start off with your quote as soon as I get to it. Hold on here, I'm going to get back to it, and we'll take a look at that. The real struggle is not between nations, but between the conscience of humanity and the madness of its own destruction. Romain Rolland, French national. I don't know who that person is. So if you do know who that person is, Tolemykus, please let me know. Great to see you, Corvinus Wargaming. And oh, darn it. I'm not saying that we're just going to have to avoid. Great to see you as well, Meandering Mike. I'm not saying we're going. What I'll do is I'm just going to avoid one of the clues that I was using for who or what am I in World War I. Today I was thinking, okay, what are the odds that Corvinus Wargaming is going to show up today? I was like, maybe he's not. So I was like, okay, we'll use this clue. But I was like, if Corvinus Wargaming does show up, I can't use the clue because you'll immediately know what the answer is. Like there's no, if you don't, you're in deep trouble is what I'm trying to say. Because when you see the answer, you'll know. Great to see you all, as per usual. Let's just start off with the narrative. We've got 4 trillion things as per usual to discuss. I will say this, I was mentioning to Zoe Dufour earlier on this week that because there's so much community contributions coming on now, which I'm going to hopefully, if you guys know, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. I just think it's quite neat. Romain Rolland was a French dramatist, novelist, essayist, art historian, mystic who was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1915. Holy smokes. So, okay, thanks, man. I'm going to have to certainly look him up. There we go. 82 days until Cannes Games. I'm super happy about that. That's for sure. I haven't registered yet properly. I just registered the game, so obviously I better register properly. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit weird to be a host and not be able to do it. Welcome everyone. Please let me know what you've been up to this week. But certainly like to know. I pulled the trigger this week. I found first edition copies of Spence and Gable's Kaiserslaut 1918 and Mukden 1905. I didn't go for the 1866 Konrad Gratz ones. It's not really of much interest to me. But I did want to mention this about, remember I was moaning about FedEx and Noble Knight earlier on in the week, or in a couple of live streams ago, is the fact that I was like, oh, you know, these hidden costs afterwards. I didn't clue in afterwards this time. I could actually select UPS. So it was a bit more expensive up front than FedEx, but the way I was looking at least I didn't have to worry about costs later on. So it was like that felt a little bit better. We'll zip through here super quick. Like Meandering Mike was saying before, due to the fact that rather than having a hard 90 minutes or what have you, stick to the core of what to try to get done in 60 minutes. If we run a little past that, that's not the end of the universe. But I was also saying to Zoe Dufour earlier, and we're getting back to this bit of the fact that there's been so much community contribution now, which I'm now want to call you guys. I was talking about. I'm going to try, and I'm surprised. No, it's the Great War Gang. I keep putting it in. Actually, the Great War group has been used. There we go. The Great War Gang has not been used, and I thought, actually, you know what? That's actually a lot better. It's a lot more informal. Sounds a lot more, like some kind of Steve McQueen movie or something like that. I just thought that was kind of nice. This, I can't wait to show you guys. This freaked me right out. So when I was doing part of the thing there for the RPG there, Choose Our Own Adventure, and I was looking up for Tolemykus, HMS Tolemykus, and so on and so forth. I typed in Tolemykus in my search engine and looked up in the images. You won't believe what pops up. I was like, wow, that's really neat. So hopefully we'll take a look at that. We'll zip quick, but then we're going to go off in Wonderland. Like I was saying about the reformatting, just due to the fact there's so much community contribution from the Great War Gang now, that I'm going to have to rethink how things are structured. So that way I make sure that things are bumped in the queue. And it's certainly always going to be from the Great War Gang. Hope you guys don't mind being called the Great War Gang. It's just I was also trying, like I said before, about thinking about the third anniversary of having and trying to give back towards you guys, and just trying to say, you know, how thankful I am. It's just amazing what's been going on now. This thing is really taking off as far as I'm concerned. It's got its own momentum. It's really nice. I really enjoy it. Yes, last week there, I kept referring to Admiral Fisher's Admiral Jellicoe during some of the bits when we were looking at the images. And it was like, I think it was because we were looking at the Jellicoe jitters or something like that. And something that was, I mean, I'm even reading, for goodness sakes, it's Admiral Fisher. And I'm still calling him Jellicoe. It's just freaked me right out. I just wanted to bring this to you guys, your attention here. Hold on here. Better than the World War I weirdos. Yeah, that's for sure. Maybe that's only for the people that watch the after hours. Anyways, President Wilson has known about the Zimmerman telegram for some time now, and still has not revealed it to the American public. That I find interesting. And we all know what's happening right now with unrestricted submarine warfare and the little big push, quite a bit, not from Congress, which blew me away. We found out earlier. But anyways, this big push, you know, to maybe go to war. Well, we found out a little bit about with the newspapers there earlier on, and with some of the headlines this week of they were saying that some of the newspapers were getting together and influencing like what they were printing to try to get the public to go towards going to war. I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, goody. So there we go. He knows about this right now. And it's just going to be interesting to see when he decides to spring the trap or pops it on there. As some of you guys know, I'm reading the Dale Carnegie book. It's unrelated to the Great War. How to Stop, but not anymore. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And he starts mentioning Rudyard Kipling owning a house in the United States and so on and so forth. And I was just like, whoa, I had no idea all this stuff. Whatever. There we go. Yeah, trust the trench team. It's true, eh? Because I do have that T-shirt, Trust in the Trench. And I was talking again about Zoe Dufour, about what to do about coffee coasters or some kind of cheapy thing that, affordable, I should actually say, that I could send off to you guys would be great. Anyways, submarine parts I found out this week in the articles. I just thought, whoa, here we go off into more intrigue and whatnot. Great to see you, Wardrobe Plays World War II. Hope you're doing really good. This just knocked me sideways this week to find out that the Germans have been putting submarine parts, or whoever's been making them for them, putting submarine parts hidden in buoys off the coast of Spain. I'm like, this is just more intrigue stuff. I just really, RPG written all over it, for goodness sakes. The steamship Mendi was mentioned also this week in the chronology book. So you'll see it in the week that was. And it just says that it sank through a collision. And I was like, well, could you not tell me how, like what it collided with or something? I went and looked it up on the Wikipedia thing. Hopefully we'll go take a look. Oublié, forgotten. This is by someone that I was just talking off a side thing. And the person goes, oh yeah, by the way, I just finished reading a book called Oublié by Jose Rodrigues dos Santos, and it's about the Portuguese regiment in the Great War in Europe. And I'm like, and you neglected to tell me? What the heck is going on with you? Oh my God, it just blew me away. So anyways, please let me know what if you're playing what you've been playing this week, especially if it's World War I related. Yet again, I have 2 engagement questions for us. This was yet again due to the fact that this week I was watching or reading articles, and they started talking about Abyssinia, and I was like, Abyssinia, where the hell is Abyssinia? And then I found out it's more or less where modern day Ethiopia is now. And then it got me to thinking, because remember that the Senussi uprising has just ended. It just got squashed and whatnot, and so on and so forth. I was thinking, I wonder on reflection, because remember, there's a civil war going on. It seems there's a civil war going on right now in Ethiopia. On reflection upon Wilson's suggestion. Oh, no, sorry, that's the second one. I'm going to, or did I? Yeah, sorry. The second one will be this one. On the first one, yeah, it was about Wilson talking about asking the other neutrals to join in with the United States of America in breaking off diplomatic relations. So I'll just read it and I'll talk about what I think. And I would like to hear about what you guys think. On reflection upon Wilson's suggestion that neutral nations follow America's lead and break off diplomatic relations with Germany, could the neutral nations have got together at some point in the war and collectively use their influence to end it. In essence, I guess no longer being neutral, but instead anti-war. In other words, they could use their collective might somehow to cause enough friction where both sides would say, you know what, obviously internally from their public to say, you know what, we have to go for a settled peace. I'm just curious, and I would like to hear what you guys think about it, obviously. That's why I'm bringing it up. Is what has happened in Germany, East Africa. Oh, that was the second bit, because as we know, the British and Portuguese and Belgian, they're pushing the Germans out. And more recently with the Senussi, play a factor in what is going on in Abyssinia in regards to the emperor being overthrown and possibility of civil war. Is that an opportunistic event happening? I don't know. I don't know enough yet. I would like to. So here we go. Who or what am I? World War I trivia. Like I said, Corvinus Wargaming. I'm just going to ensure that I don't use that clue. So we're only going to have 5 this week, and I think it's going to be a super quickie, and that's just the way it goes. So we've got the past 3 champions, and there's the points, and I've put them in properly this time. So everybody's got some points, which is nice. And then we're going to go off to the community contributions. But here's your first clue. I just got, like I said, I got a real, I know it, like I said, I've been doing it every week. It's just like an inside joke for me. I've been in, well, not I can actually change it. No, I'm not going to do that. But I've been in the news a lot recently. So there you go. Who or what am I? Which means obviously there's going to be 4 trillion. You can say anything you want. And the odds of you getting it are pretty slim at this point. World War I narrative logic puzzles by Tolemykus. Excellent one, Tolemykus. Oh boy, I really like that, but you are incorrect. Hold on, I got to get the sheet back. Oh boy, do I ever like that one. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, but you are incorrect, like I said. And we'll get you the second clue, as long as I don't. Yes, I can give you that one. Like I wanted to also change it up a little bit this week. I guess in the lead up to, like I said, as a thank you on the 3rd year anniversary towards you guys, essentially. So I wanted to. Actually, no, Meandering Mike, you're good. I always think you're being sarcastic, but actually yours is good because it's realistic. Plane crashes, but we're going to go back to the clue. But you are incorrect, and I'm going to give you a point. Yeah, it's just I was like, this week, let's try to grab a lot of Great War gang related clues. So there we go. Charles Latora mentioned that he was not fully versed on their past. Who or what am I? And I like that. Harro, Bosma, Zeppelins, because I was absolutely a bit of a head scratcher this week. Remember, was it last week or the week before? But you were incorrect, Harro, Bosma. What was it, last week or the week before, where the German government basically said they've ceased Zeppelin operations, but then this week there was a Zeppelin bombing. So I'm like, what the hell's going on? That's I find rather interesting. So I think it's the 3rd clue. Yes, I can't use that one for sure. That one, it's like Corvinus. And we'll just leave it at that. It would have been your 3rd clue, but you're not going to see it. So this is the 4th one. My people fought for both sides. Who or what am I? Wardrobe plays World War II. It says Russia, the Eastern Europe, but you are incorrect. But darn good considering what's happening. Hold on. Let's make sure that I put you in the right spot. Where the hell are you? You must be way up. Okay. Oh, there you are. And then Charles Lator says Greeks. Excellent. And William Arends says that as well, but you're both incorrect. Hold on, I'm going to give you a point, and someone just got it. Corvinus Wargaming, you get it. Poland, fantastic. And now you're going to see I like it, Tolemykus. You're going to get a point for that for sure. Hold on here. Can you leave? Oh, I'm sorry, Meandering Mike. I'll give you. Sorry about that. I hope I didn't drive you nuts. Well, you're going to see the older ones. Sorry. Well, I'll give you this one here. Was the Charles Latora mentioned that he was not fully versed on their past. I'll try to do that next week, Meandering Mike. And here's the clue that would have certainly given it away. Corvinus Wargaming's wife was born there. That's why I said Corvinus Wargaming. If you don't get it, you're in a lot of trouble. Both sides exploited me and stole resources and food to aid their own people, as you probably know. President Wilson certainly was on our side, especially at the end. From what I know, I'm going to go back to the comments. Perhaps the type the clue. Okay, sorry, Brian R. Smith. And you know what, Brian R. Smith? I used to do that, and I stopped doing that. So thanks a lot. I'll start remembering to do that next week as well. I don't remember what I said 5 minutes ago. I'm expected to remember Poland. Oh, well, I remembered it for you. So there you go. And let's go to the very, yeah. And about the President Wilson bit, as you probably know, they're at the very end, making sure that, yeah, because that was before, that would have been, remember, they ended up getting part of East Prussia all the way to the Baltic there, because that was part of the thing. They had to make sure that they had a port, and I think they got Stettin. I think that was part of it. And like I said, there's the answer was Poland. So well done, Corvinus Wargaming. And I think it's pretty cool that that you got the answer, and I didn't have to use the whatever. So there we go. Let's go to the escape of the Cossack Ghost, 1915, the best course of action and reasoning, which I don't have set up. But we'll have to get to it in a minute. Hold on here. I'll get going here. It's the, there we go. Well done. I guess, well, I'm just going to, how do we do this? Clues and false reports? No, we'll go to the questions. Oh, you saw there. And I'll get rid of me because it'll make it, there we go. So this is, remember the Cossack Ghost. If you were in the Cossack Ghost position, if we had Meandering Mike here as a co-host, he would be able to pronounce that, but I'm not Meandering Mike, so I'm not going to pronounce it. What would be the best course of action to evade capture and return to friendly lines? Disguise himself as a local peasant and attempt to blend in while slowly making his way east. Hide in an abandoned farmhouse and wait for another Russian rescue attempt. Attempt to cross the River San under. Sorry, it's just the way my brain sees it. Because I've read it. Under cover of darkness, despite his injuries, finding a surviving Cossack ally and steal an enemy's officer's horse for a quick escape. Try to bribe local smugglers or resistant fighters to lead him to safety. And what does Tolemykus tell us to do? The best course of action is disguise himself as a local peasant and attempt to blend in while slowly making his way east. I wouldn't have picked that. Given the heavy enemy patrols and his injuries, a direct escape attempt, C and D, was too risky. Hiding B left him vulnerable to discovery, and bribing locals, E, was uncertain. Smugglers might turn him in for a reward. By blending in as a peasant, he could use local knowledge, avoiding drawing suspicion, and travel cautiously without alerting Austrian intelligence. Thank you. Gosh, that kind of reminds me. Remember, wasn't there some kind of like Bulgarian general or someone trying to get? Oh, remember he fell in the. Anyways, this is a side note. The rescue of the Halifax explosion survivor, December 6, 1917. At 9:04 a.m. on December 6, 1917, in the harbor of Halifax, Nova Scotia, the SS Mont Blanc, a French munitions ship carrying high explosives. Oh, this is neat due to the fact about the Mendy. Collided with the Norwegian relief vessel SS Imo. The collision sparked a fire on board the Mont Blanc, and within 20 minutes, the ship exploded in the largest man-made explosion prior to the atomic bomb. The blast leveled large parts of Halifax, killing nearly 2,000 people and injuring over 9,000. Among the survivors was 5-year-old Ethel Campbell, who had been playing in her family's home when the explosion shattered the city. The blast wave threw her half a mile from her house, leaving her badly wounded and trapped under debris in a rapidly spreading fire zone. Her parents were killed instantly, and rescuers were overwhelmed with casualties. With the city in chaos, fires burning, buildings collapsed, and people wandering in shock, a railway dispatcher, Vince Coleman, managed to send a last-minute warning telegraph to halt incoming trains, preventing further disaster. However, Ethel's survival depended on a fast decision by a group of volunteer firefighters and a nurse named Sarah McKinnon, who were among the first to reach the burning ruins. They had only minutes to act before the flames spread further. Question: If you were leading the rescue, what would be the best way to ensure Ethel's survival? A, dig through the debris immediately, even if the risks further collapse, to free her as quickly as possible. B, use nearby wood and debris to create a makeshift barrier against the fire while trying to free her. C, focus on evacuating as many people as possible first, then return for Ethel later. D, send for reinforcements with proper equipment, even though it may take too long. E, attempt to dig a tunnel under the debris, which could take longer but might be safer. Clues and false reports. Some rescuers claim to have heard voices from other survivors, leading them to divert their efforts. A Telegraph report falsely claimed that a second explosion was imminent, causing panic among rescuers. Thick smoke and fire made it difficult to tell exactly how stable the surrounding rubble was. A local doctor reported hearing a child crying but was unsure of the exact location. Rescue teams were told reinforcements were on the way, but many were delayed due to blocked roads. Discussion topics. How did the Halifax explosion change emergency response planning for urban disasters? What role did individuals like Vince Coleman play in preventing further catastrophe? How did the disaster impact the Canadian war effort, given Halifax's role? Ooh, nice one. Role as a key supply port. What were the medical challenges in treating thousands of wounded in a city suddenly without hospitals? How do false reports and panic influence emergency rescue operations? I'm going to go to this one. You guys are back. I'm going to put me like that. Yep, boink. Wow, Tolemykus, thank you super much. Just going to say this. I did email the World War I Historical Association. I sent them over the entire package of the World War I narrative logic puzzles to them, explained, gave them your real name. Have not heard back from them. It's only been a couple of days. If I don't hear back from them a little bit longer, it's probably due to the fact it's gone into their spam folder because of my strange email address. I will contact the president because I've got his, I know we've got a one-on-one thing, like my email address does not go into his spam, and we'll go from there because this stuff really, I want to make sure more and more people get to this. It's just, this should be in, like I was saying, this should be in schools, for goodness sakes. Anyways, there we go. Thank you so much. So now we're going towards the community contribution. So bon voyage, the Grog Shed. The Grog Shed, aka, well, his real name's Mike. I'm not going to give you his last name. Him and his wife are moving, I think today. I think they're on the plane today. They've been in a hotel for the past few days. They just sold up. They're moving to British Columbia. But like I said, you're always, the beautiful thing about the internet and the World Wide Web and whatnot is the fact that we're still in communication. So as you know, the Grog Shed had been over to my house a few times. We did some book givings and some game trades. I got some amazing games off of him, that's for sure. Like Home Before the Leaves Fall and all that stuff, and the Serabine, Moose Serabine, and that type of stuff. So there we go. Tolemykus, you've got two. Anyways, bon voyage, Grog Shed. See you soon. Oh my, the poor bugger. This, I almost feel like we should have like a trivia thing. I'm with you, Charles. It's pretty round what I do or do not remember. I know. Don't start. Don't start. Well, just like, well, how about this? The train of thought gets knocked off. Fashion shake a stick. What's it? Yep, I have no idea. Something about, probably about the Grog Shed, but yeah. Well, just thank you. So now let's get to your two more contributions. A bit of a teaser. The other stuff I'm trying to reweave a little bit, Tolemykus, so I don't want to pop it out. But I think here's the teaser. Yes, I gave, so I don't show there. So here's something, as you can see here, Tolemykus, this is his third contribution, pop it up. And this is the thing I want to start playing around with. I want to talk to you, Tolemykus, a little bit about it. I wanted almost, in a weird way, call it like a race to the sea kind of thing, to see who gets to the sea first, based on the number of wins. So there you go. That's one thing Tolemykus wants to start off, and I'm not going to show you the rest. How to play. The steamer calls out a single historical word clue. Could be, you know what I mean. Chat members type 8 and away you go. Camels, let's say, and then you guys decide whatever, we go from there. You get the idea. So that I'm super happy. Hold on, I want to get rid of some of the, we're going to get rid of you, so that way hopefully it'll help my 25 minutes in. We're doing not bad as per. And there's the another thing that I want to start off with. I'm going to get rid of me so we can see this a bit more. Is these fantastic historical improv things that Tolemykus has submitted. For example, there you can see a bunch of them, and I was just like, I went over a couple with a few of them with Zoe Dufour earlier in the week, and she's like, really? These are really good. I'm like, I know, these are monster thought provokers. So that's another thing I want to start getting in on with this for sure. I'm going to get back to that. Let's go and take a look. That we did this. We're going to go back up a bit in a minute. So choose our own adventure. Hopefully you got some of you guys. I didn't see the winners, but right now I think the two leaders right now are Lynn Cook, the nurse midwife who's considering becoming a volunteer for the Red Cross over in Europe, and John Smith, the proprietor of Red Squirrel Dry Goods on 76 Barters Hill. He's also the spokesman for St. John's Business Association. So those are the two main characters. But the way I was thinking about this can be such a free-form thingamajig. I don't know if you guys have watched any of the RPG stuff that one of the three members for Hamtag was doing a while back, the guy with the amazing mustache. He very that type of way I would like to work with you guys. Like maybe someday we'll do some kind of, oh, hold me back, I can't stop. Are you kidding me? I'm loving it. I continue, keep on trucking. I'm loving it to bits. This has been fantastic. Like I said, it's just like this week was one of the least stressful times I've had preparing material for this show, due to the fact that we didn't talk so much. There's so many orphans from last week. I just grabbed them and plopped them on over to here. And then you just keep on. And with William Arends doing it, and anybody else wants to keep on trucking, go for it. I don't know if we're just going through these things. We're not going to get, there's going to be more orphans is what I'm trying to say. Let's go to the video of the week. Let's do that right off the bat. So it's only about a minute long. And I wanted you guys to take a look at how old Tid-Bits looks like. I'm like, whoa. Like he is an old man. Not that, like I said, not that big stern guy you see with that amazing, crazy ass beard that he's got. So hold on, let me go to the links. See if I've still got it up there. There are some amazing stuff this week that, oh my God, you should see the amount of material that people have been contributing to at the Consume World Forum. Under the World War I or, and interwar periods. For example, someone put a huge post at history.org that keeps putting stuff up there. There's a huge thing on Kut El Amara, just massive amount of material on that, like a huge thing, just fantastic. It was really, really good. Next one might blow your mind. You might be in traction. I'll be careful. Fantastic. I've got another month off. Tolemykus, so no worries there. No worries there at all. Hold on, let me see. Oh my God, have you guys read the Creed of the United States Marine? Jeepers jumping! I just read that a little while. Okay, actually, let's go and take a look. Remember, I said I wanted to go and see you guys see this. Right? Yep. Let's do that. I want you guys to see. I'm not kidding. Maybe you guys are going to go, yeah, I don't see the connection. I'm like, are you not kidding me? Do you not see the connection? So this is what I get when I type in Tolemykus on my DuckDuckGo search engine and look into images. Look at this. Miniatures and 3D printing. That's what I get first off when I type in Tolemykus. It's almost like Tolemykus. Our Tolemykus has taken over the search engine. I was just like, this is too much. I just thought that was just fantastic. So anyways, hold on. Let me go and get the, I had to share that with you guys. I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, that is ridiculous. And what did I want to, oh yeah, it's the video. So that would be in critical past. Hold on. All right. Let me go to my playlists. I'll get rid of me in a second. Critical past. Hold on here. Boink. There are no secrets on the internet, even though nothing is secret. Isn't that cool, though, Tolemykus? I don't know about you, but I was just like, oops, is that the wrong one? Yeah, it is. It's not the... Where are you? Where's the critical past? Oh, there you are. All right. And... oh, no, do I not have it on here? I thought I'd put it on there. Oh, well, maybe I'm not going to watch it then. I could have sworn I had... well, hold on here. Just hold your horses. I'll find it. Could have sworn it must be in maybe the 107 links. No, I don't see it. Oh well, we're gonna have to just leave it. I just don't know where I put it. Maybe in the after hours. That's a bizarre, weird place to put it. Oh well, it'll be next week then. We'll just go off to other stuff because I don't see it here. Nope. All right. I'll stop. I'll go back to this. Stop the screen. Boink. And then we'll go to, I think, some of our contribution stuff for sure. Hold on here. I want to make sure. Yeah, we're all right. Boink. And get rid of this. Boink, boink, boink. Okay, so that'll be next week. Now, okay, now let's go to BGG Game of the Week. Now, I don't know how much we're going to get into this bit, but I did pop in a few of the questions or some of the stuff that I would like to talk about, like some of the prompts. Don Johnson, I don't know who this person is, but my gosh, does he ever have a lot of contributions for all the variations of World War I? But I'll tell you one thing right off the bat that I'm noticing, as well as one of the reviews, monster reviews that I saw, is these are not completely different games, but so significantly different. The SPI 1975 World War I 1914-1918 game to this World War I Deluxe Edition by Decision Games, very, very different. I mean, right off the bat, there's like, they're double-sided counters. There's way more counters, a lot more of the world. You can do entrenchment. It's just a lot more nitty-gritty, that type of stuff. I don't know, like, I mean, you can compare them, but it's not, I don't know how much of, how good they are. Hold on here. Crockett writing game reviews. I don't know. Oh, Miami Vice. There we go. Boink. It just blew me away. Just knocked my socks off saying that stuff. So here we are. When I was looking at it later on, it's one of the questions is I was looking at it going, I wonder if I could use the deluxe map, increase the number of counters, like the same number of counters that I would see in the deluxe map, but use the offensive and defensive values that you would find in the 1975 version. So in other words, don't rock the boat that way. Modify the resource points to model the fact that there's more fronts now, like the Russians have to deal with the Caucasus and so on and so forth. And then, but still use the 1975 rules. In other words, don't go down the super complex rule. I wonder if that would be a neat thing. However, I will say this about the differences in the rules. Let's get a super quickie look on the once I get into the BGG thing here. We'll just take a quick look at some of the stuff. I hope. Yeah, can't wait when that Kaiserslautern 1918 thingamajig pops up from Spence and Gable. I want to take a gander on that thing. It seems, well, not a lot of people have played it, but I certainly would like to give it a shot. Here, unbelievable, William Arends. The third and final part of this ATA just sent. It was neat, though, earlier on. I was able to, just as almost before we started the show, I'm here, I got my pages out, I've got my glasses here, I'm reading like a little editor. It was fun as hell. But I don't know if we're going to get to the second and third part today due to the fact that I keep on babbling. Hold on here. Like I said, we'll go to the share the screen, boink, boink. And I'll get rid of me so that way we can see it much bigger. And I'll try to make this a little bit better. There. So this, like I said, I've had this game, one of the very first games that I actually picked up once I was bit by the Great War gaming bug, essentially. And let's go into some funky stuff. And you can see, yeah, it was, yet again, it was quite an affordable I don't not much of an advance, but you can see it's an interest yet again. People with their strange little ways of dealing with the other fronts and whatnot. But yep, I've had it upstairs, but yet again, it was something that was just a little bit too complex for me at the very beginning. I still don't know if I want to go down that road. But you want to see some monster review. This thing is huge. Look at this guy. It was a really good review. He was not impressed with the game. That's all I got to say. Not impressed. But that's his thing. But I was very appreciative of the look at this. Just a monster article. I can't wait to get to the point where we also get to discuss La Grande Guerre, but that'll be a little while from there because somebody else also did a huge review. Let's see. Let's get back to this bit. And then we'll go up a bit and take a look at some of the interesting tidbits, I hope. The British Way of War. This is an upcoming, well, as you can see here, by the Western Front Association on February 24th. That's going to be a talk that I'll be attending. Super happy about that one. Tomorrow, this one, this is going to be by the National World War I Museum and Memorial, World War I Legacies and Aftermath of Conflict. Like I said, lots of monster amount of material on Constant World Forum. Maybe we'll take a super quickie look and get you enticed to do that. That should be pretty darn easy for me to do because I've already got it queued up. I just want you guys to take a look. And there's some really nice stuff. There we go. And I'll pop that up too. And get rid of me. So I haven't seen this one yet. The Yanks are here. No, that's brand new. Oh my gosh, there's a ton new. That one I haven't seen as well, Czar. But that's one I saw. Well, this one is interesting too. I saw that one. And there's the Kut Alamara thing I was telling you about. There. This big, long, beautiful article on it from history.org. And I was like, wow, thanks a lot. There's tons of interesting information in here that I was like, I didn't know about. That's for bloody sure. So I was like, thanks a lot, man. There you go. Lots of really, really good stuff. Okay, let's get back on to present the screen. And then we'll get into your stuff for sure, William Arends, because I want to make sure that we're not screwing that stuff over. That's for sure. Boink. 5 episodes in a row on the Not So Quiet, bookmarking that. Yes, honestly, Corvinus Wargaming, I was thinking about you when I was reading the book, reading that article. I was like, I wonder if Corvinus Wargaming would like it. It's good. Still, and if you can find out where the licorice factory is for me, for God's sakes, please let me know. That would be, I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. That was unfortunate. So 5 episodes in a row on Not So Quiet on the Western Front is dealing with France in the Great War right now. They're just still trucking along with the whole thing, which is kind of nice. Like I said, yet again, it's weird the way it's the way it is, I guess, with literature and whatnot. And due to the fact I'm an Anglophone, it's the fact that I just often forget about France. And it's like, wait a minute, it's most of the fighting on the Western Front is on their land, for goodness sakes. There's also a new map for Kings and Kaisers. It looks nice. And I've got the link, I think, in the sources and links for it on YouTube. It looks really nice. There I was mentioning the Creed of the United States Marine. Weird, man, when the guy starts talking about my rifle is human and stuff like this. I was like, what in the hell? Remember about the World War I Western Front every day? That's that animated thing on YouTube. It is really cool to watch, especially right now. Due to the fact that the Germans are withdrawing to the Siegfried Line. And the Allies are wondering why in the world things seem to be working really like, boy, this has been awfully easy, to take these trenches. And wait till you see later on when we take a look at the week that was and whatnot, and other people that are going to hang out for the after hours, is due to the fact that you're going to start noticing the numbers for the length of front and the distance that especially the Brits are able to take. It's like, what's going on? We've never seen this amount of distance before. It's because the Germans are just like, whatever. Well, we've taken what we need and we're out of here. And that's the way it goes. And yet again, I did find the link, William Arends, and I popped it in. Breakout the Premier Tabletop Convention. And remember this, I'm not going to show it, but it's my tabletop over there, which I haven't played since December 24th. And I'd also been mentioning to Zoe Dufour about. So we're about 20 minutes in. And if we have leftover bits, then we'll get to it, as far as I'm concerned. Makes sense. So we'll do the week that was now, because I like to break it up with my material, then go to William Arends' material, and then back again. Makes far more sense for me. Okay, so now we're going to go to the week that was. And I think we're going to start seeing some of that stuff about the distances of the Western Front and whatnot. The week that was for February 16th to February 22nd, 1917. Oh my God. And there's I'm not going to mention it too. It's in the sources and links. I just found out about it this morning on the Great War with Indian Idol. There's two guys. There's something going on right now that just started yesterday with some kind of Serbian revolt. What the heck's it called? The Tolemykus uprising. Yeah, the Tolemykus uprising. And I want to go and look that up. It looks really interesting. There's two commanders that are involved with it. Kosta Vjanovic and Kosta Pekanek. Want to go and take a look at those guys. Indian Idol mentioned them, and I was like, whoa, it looks really interesting. It was quite a long little struggle. Well, I'll just give you a little quickie. The Tolemykus uprising was a mass uprising by Serbian rebels against the Bulgarian occupation forces that took place in Bulgarian-occupied Serbia during the First World War. And I was just like, oh my gosh, does that ever sound like more gaming material for sure? Anyways, February 16th, close of the British War Loan. Opening of the South African Parliament. And I thought, but then I think Brian R. Smith was mentioning that General Smuts went somewhere else. I know he's been down in South Africa, and everybody was like congratulating him and so on and so forth. But Brian R. Smith was mentioning that he got promoted to some other section, so maybe he's back up in London or whatever. Bruges and Gestel are bombed by British naval airmen. West of Kut, British capture the remaining Turkish positions along the Dara Bend and take nearly 2,000 prisoners. At Boulogne, German airship drops bombs on town and harbor, doing only slight damage. And talk about great timing, for that guy to pop on from history.org to have it on. February 17th, south of the Ancre, British penetrate 1,000 yards into the German positions on a front of 1.5 miles. We've never seen this before, or haven't seen it in quite some time. North of the Ancre, British take trenches on a 1,000-yard front. British take 773 prisoners from the aforementioned advances. Northwest of Aldrich, in the Alsace region, I don't think it's spelt that way, French raid the German salient and inflict heavy losses. On Labkasa River, southwest of Vinsk, Germans clad in white again raid the Russian lines and take 50 prisoners. Near Kut, British continue progress on the south bank of the Tigris. Dicedale says, General Smuts chasing glory and Germans all over the sub-Saharan West Africa. Great to see you. I hope you're doing well. And it'll be neat to find out more about him well, obviously you know more about him than I do, and I can't wait to find out more as we go along. On the North Bank, an attack on the Turkish positions on Saniyat fails. Entente powers call the government's attention to hostile attitude of the Greek press. Oh my God. They're neutral. Greek government search private dwellings for hidden arms. New Australian government is formed. February 18th, north of the Ancre, a strong German attack on new British positions above Belikskor Farm is hit by concentrated fire and smashed. In the Trotus Valley, Moldavian Russian surprise attack captures strong enemy position on high ground. Junction of French and Italian troops in southern Albania, which effectively isolates Greece from the Central Powers. February 19th, the new British war loan estimated to be going to reach over, I don't even know what that number is, man, 700 billion or some crazy thing, billion pounds. British government decides to revise exemption, it's horrible, revise exemption certificates for men under 31. No wonder it took them until 1986 to pay off the American war debt. Trillion, thank you very much. The steamship Worcestershire is sunk. I tried to go and find out about the Worcestershire, could not. And I thought for sure when Meandering Mike saw that, he would start making some billion. Okay, thank you. Would make some kind of little comment about Worcestershire sauce or something being spilled or some, just me being whatever, I'm projecting. In the Somme region, south of Le Translois, Germans using Flammenwerfer capture a British advanced post and 30 prisoners. You had it right, comment missing. Thank you, sir. East of Ypres, British do great damage to German positions and take 114 prisoners in a big raid. February 20th, Noncolat, Bir el Hassana, between Suez and Aqaba. 2 small Turkish posts are surprised and dispersed by the British. President Wilson asks, remember, and he knows about the Zimmerman telegram. President Wilson asks for powers for Congress to enforce the obligations imposed by the laws of the nations and by American statutes. Oh, I'm so glad. I've just been waiting. Oh, thank you. Maybe I should keep the comment on longer. There we go. I have to get used to this. This will be for the World War I thing for next week, and I'll put it in the comments as well. There we go. And Dice Tower says, it's just me, or do most of these reports from the front make you want to create a new tactical game to replay these engagements? No, you are in company. Trust me, you are in very good company, Mr. Dice Tales, and I love you to bits for saying that, man. 100%. I'm constantly watching this stuff, and I'm like, my God, why is somebody not making a little game scenario about this? Anyways, Imperial Preference Report is issued. I don't know what in the world that is about. February 21st, Germans begin to withdraw from the front of the Saar. I'm assuming that's the Siegfried line. I would like to go to that YouTube thing and start watching that animated West Front thing again. It is spectacular to watch, knowing what we know is going to happen like a day in advance. Remember, it's day by day, and you're like, you know it's going to happen. I'm like, oh my God. And you see it happening. It's like, whoa, this is amazing. Near Yakobny, Russians repulse a strong German attack. In the Trentino region at Tarvis, Italian artillery destroy an Austro-Hungarian railhead. That was, I thought, was really neat. And yet again, Mr. Dice Towers, or Mrs. Dice Towers. There we go with the railhead. I was thinking that when I was reading that yesterday. I was like, that seems like a good thing. Southeast Spain off of Cartagena. Spare parts for submarines are discovered in a buoy. It's so cool. The French transport Athos is sunk by a submarine in the Mediterranean. The South African contingent Mendy is sunk in a collision. I don't know. We'll have time because I want to get to William Arends' ATA for sure. But it ends up hitting a ship 3 times its size. I was going from Brazil or something, and it made it okay, but the Mendy sank pretty quick. The new British, I shouldn't laugh, the new British blockade orders are issued. Vessels sailing to and from neutral countries which have access to the enemy must be put into a British port for examination or be liable to capture. It had something to do with fog. Don't quote me on that one. But I've got the wiki link set there. In February 22nd, in the USA, war tension appears critical. German agents, and these are me with the questions, because I'm like, can you give me a little bit more? German agents instigating many disturbances. Where? That's why I'm like, can you give me a little bit more? Turkey declares her, and there was no little footnote thing, which drove me nuts. Turkey declares her agreement with the German policy on unrestricted submarine warfare. Well, guess who's going to declare war on you then? Formation of Labor Corps. And I don't know what that means. Yet again, Dutch ships sailing from Falmouth are attacked by submarine U-3 in spite of German guarantee of security. 4 were sunk. At Sana Iyat, General Maud launches a fresh attack, capturing 2 lines of Turkish trenches, which I found out from Indian Ideal was a feint, almost to try to draw or pin down their reserves while they did their main attack, and they were able to win. Essentially, I guess they ended up taking Kut. East of Vermel and south of Neuchâtel, hostile raids are repulsed with heavy German loss. North of Guidecourt, British take German trench and 30 prisoners. Recent British activity indicates the push is proceeding cautiously, and that's the end of that one. I can get rid of that. Now we're off to the ATA, which is pretty darn good, as per bloody usual. And this knocked me. I'm like, oh my God, thank you, William Arends. You obviously have heard me do this before. You put the translator's note into italics for me. I don't even have to do it myself, which is super nice. Oh my God, don't tell me you found out something about the, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. For a licorice factory was in Kudallamara. Yes, I know that. That's all I know. Small village on the banks of the Tigris River. It was about 160 kilometers southeast of Baghdad. Okay. If somebody can find out, I would love to do a little scenario of that. I mean, come on, capture the licorice factory. I mean, they do talk about it. I would love to see that. Thank you guys for looking this stuff up. It's just, I'm just super happy, man. Thank you, Brian R. Smith. Here we go. So yet again, William Arends, thanks, man, for doing this. Here are some reports from the Berlin News and my favorite newspaper. We're going to find out in a minute. Gosh, I love it. Here are some reports from the Berlin News dealing mainly with the U-boat naval war, but also with dispatches on the air and ground battles and the efforts at diplomacy. The first batch is from the issue of Saturday, February 16th, and reports about a German aircraft attack on an Entente airport near Dunkirk, France. It is interesting to see the activity in World War I at a place that will become much more famous for what happened there during World War II. And there we go with Dice Towers, the licorice factory. Seriously, it's worse than the Battle of Gettysburg happening because I'm not kidding you. Dice Tales. You got to look it up. It was from last week. I'll put your thing back up. Sorry, I'm just terrible for this. So let people read. Nice and relax. Slow down. There we go. Okay, good. It is interesting to see the activity in World War I at a place that will become much more famous for what happened there during World War II. The other, in a regular report on U-boat actions in February, and a report from a U-boat base on the coast of Flanders. Totally cool. Oh, there we are. Berlin's latest news, a non-partisan newspaper, Saturday, the 17th of February, 1917, morning edition. German naval aircraft over St. Paul, 16th of February, official. German naval aircraft have successfully conducted a bomb attack on the airport of St. Paul sur Mer by Dunkirk on the 14th of February. It was observed that airplane hangars had been impacted by this attack and were on fire. As our planes departed from Dunkirk, an intense glowing fire could still be seen from a distance away. I'm going to say this again. I don't know about you guys, but I do notice a very different flavor in the text between German and English. And I know for me, it's got to be a cultural difference. It's interesting. I mean, they both are still trying to get their point across. We're winning and the other people are bad, but I just find it really fascinating. It's a photo of a linen map that locates the factory. Oh my God, are you effing kidding me? Oh my God, Brian R. Smith, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's just been something I've been, you know what I mean? It's just something that just stuck in my head. I'm like, I must find out where the licorice factory is. Just such a weird thing. Each and every one of our aircraft returned to base undamaged. So thanks again, man. In 24 hours, 51,800 tons. The spoils of our U-boats, Berlin, 16th of February. During a time period of 24 hours, one of our U-boats have newly sunk the following vessels: an auxiliary cruiser of 20,000 tons. And if somebody knows what an auxiliary cruiser is, please let me know. I keep forgetting. Two others that were either auxiliary cruiser or transport steamers with 13,600 tons, and another transport steamer with 4,600 tons. Altogether, 51,800 tons. One of the steamers held 5,000 tons of kerosene bound for England. For those ships, 3 captains, 2 engineers, and 1 wireless telegraph operator were taken as prisoners, which is kind of the same thing we'll find out about. I don't know if it's in the war summary, or no, it's in an earlier article headline this week, where there was that girl. She was the first one to ever be in a German U-boat, and her family, it's because her dad was the captain of the ship that got the merchant ship that got sunk by the U-boat captain, who happened to be the U-boat captain who sunk the Lusitania, which I thought was totally cool. And there we go. Props for finding a picture of a linen map of that area. You have some real mojo going there. He does. 100%, especially when it comes into the naval stuff. Well, he's the head of World War I. Who or what am I? And for a reason, for goodness sakes. The Zurich newspaper reported from Den Haag, Netherlands, that between 11th and 13th of February, 41 ships had been sunk, holding 75,000 tons of goods. Informed circles in Rotterdam held this situation to be extraordinarily serious. The total amount of foodstuffs from Holland and Scandinavia would be exhausted in 8 days. And I know we're not going to get to it, but my God, I really I want to hammer out, and I want to use the other characters that are in Choose Our Own Adventure. They're going to come in and out. But I would like to have a protagonist, somebody that's going to be that. So if you guys can pop it in the comments. If you guys, I don't know if you probably remember who they all are. I should be putting them in. But I'm going to add that to the poll tally that I have on the community post. And I don't care if you're a double dipper or a triple, whatever. If you keep on voting, you can pop in your other thing there. But right now, it's Len Cook versus John Smith. Those are the two. So maybe we should have them, but it doesn't matter if somebody else wants whatever. Like I said, I'm going to incorporate everybody. It is reported that 5 steamers bearing coal that have been put out of Swedish harbors had been sunk in the North Sea restricted zone. London, 16th of February. Lloyd's named the steamer Longfear. What a cool name. 2,707. Wouldn't you like to have that as your last name kind of thing? 2,777 tons. The fishing vessel Mary Bell and the English sail ship Percy Roy is having been sunk. At least a character, for goodness sakes. Don't forget to collect the thumbs up for the stream if you haven't already. Oh, thanks, man. The English steamer Cainite, the fishing vessel Belvoir Castle, and the steamer Greenland have been sunk. The crew of the Greenland was rescued. Berlin, Tolemykus puts a thumbs up. Cool. It is the Astringent reported. That's a strange name. I'm going to have to go and look that up. I just thought, what a weird name for a ship. From Santander, Portugal. But mind you, you think about all the funky, weird names they have for horses. In a clear oversight from the coast, a 3-masted sailing ship was sunk by a German U-boat. A massive crowd of spectators viewed the suspenseful action. Whoa. Departure of the Frederick VIII, Copenhagen, 16th of February. The Scandinavian American Line communication from our associate in New York reports that the steamship Frederick VIII had left the harbor of New York City. Oh my God. On a side note, I did not know this, that Gotham, I guess, is part of New York City. I didn't know that Gotham was a real place. I just thought it was a make-believe place from Batman. On Thursday, the 15th of February, with 611 passengers, 262 were from the German embassy. On the U-boat base in Flanders, a report over the wires from the station of our war correspondent. This, I love the way they wrote this out, man. This is when I was starting to go, wow, this is... they've got a different flavor than the Brits and everybody else that we've been getting it from my source. The boys in blue, our naval seamen who are posted along the coast of Flanders, gave out a great sigh of relief as the longed-for order arrived that would finally give them a free hand in their actions. The bases that serve as harbors for the U-boats from their last voyage until they again will put out to sea are now nearly empty, since most of them, the U-boats and their crews, are busy at their work. On a side note, did you see that earlier in the week in the articles that the German government is trying to get cities to adopt a U-boat and their crew, to offset some of the costs? I was like, whoa, that's such a trip. Rather than, I mean, we get here, adopt a park, for God's sakes. Rather the few boats and men that are seen there are those that have returned from a raid to take a short rest from returning to the sea. These men do not speak many words, yet it can be seen in their eyes that they are aware of how the entire German people feel about the holy seriousness of these at every moment. What is felt in our hearts must not be lost in our efforts, so say they all, both officers and crew. They do not worry about the defensive measures that England has nervously increased, for they know that England had already before this time done everything in its power to defend against the U-boats. The German bluejackets, naval seamen, laugh about I actually chuckled when I read this the first time. I had a good one about this. Laugh about the wooden American sword, its Navy, and many can be heard saying that it will be for them, the U.S. Navy, not quite so pleasant if those Americans could once be shown that it will be something else to confront the German Navy, rather than that time when they had achieved such an easy victory over the old Spanish sea crafts. One has to consider that the number of ships sunk will not be increased despite our efforts. That I found interesting that they mentioned that. I was like, wow, that's It's an interesting admission. Though all of us want this to happen. That's why I was at yet again. It's different. It just has a different vibe to it than from my English sources. For the sea gives its blows without a blessing. That is so cool. No Englander wants this fact to be seen, so they correspondingly call on aircraft and patrol boats in defense. Naturally, the English cannot hide all of their ships for the duration of the war. In contrast, they must painfully determine a way to win against the ambush tactics of our submerged U-boats. We're almost perfect timing. The first survey about the opening phase of this intensification of the U-boat war will first be obtained after 2 or 3 weeks of it have passed, as the majority of the dispatches from our existing far-range U-boats come under our consideration. Meanwhile, the reports we already have are the reason that a great contentment is being felt, based on the fact that the publication by the English government of shipping losses has been forbidden. Oh, I'd like to look that up. Because remember, they are giving out numbers, but maybe they're not giving specifics. The chief of U-boat flotilla of Flanders said to me that prohibition does not keep things from us. Remember, and also the neutrals are like are really skitterish right now. We have the Brits and whatnot are like, no, go ahead. I mean, you put out your ships. We have in the past regarded the Reuters publications as though they were needles in a haystack, leaving us to hold on to our own reports. We also know that the number of sunken ships is greater than the enemy gives out. The flotilla chief then expressed that it is not the method of the German seamen to promise future victories, but that in the spirit of the crews of the U-boats, with their demotion to duty despite danger and now having to operate through ice flow and especially hard exertions, under the heroic circumspection of their youthful leaders, they do honor to their fatherland. It was a heroism of another type that one day should be acknowledged by the public. That is the heroism of the self-restraint and self-control, which with these troopers of the sea have before, I mean, these are just amazing sayings, before this time performed when their hands were not yet free. When a U-boat commander often had to leave over 40 ships undisturbed that surely would otherwise have been taken in pursuit of his goals. And that's the guy, Schurman, embedded war correspondent. I can stop that because we can just go to stop the screen because we're 2 minutes over. Boink, and I'll get rid of him. And we're going to go just make sure that I get into the whatever. I'll try to figure out something about the choose our own adventure thing. It doesn't really matter in the long run because we can just, it's just going to continue. Like nothing has to be, done in, concluded now. It just gives me another week to get some stuff going, especially the fact that, but I would like to have our protagonist finalized by next week in a way we can go. But I'm hoping if you do watch that video, you'll see that I've got like a lot of little plot things. I'm hoping that you guys can start seeing things. That way I want also you guys, whoever wants to participate, go, actually, can we go and find out more about what's going on with, I don't know, this Norwegian fishing company taking over the whatever, that type of stuff. Oh, goody. I'm really glad you are Corvinus Wargaming as well. And I'm hoping you guys saw that there's this Cthulhu-esque connections there on Bosma Island and whatnot with that interesting engraving that was in the sedimentary rock and whatnot, that type of thing. So anyways, I'm going to get ready for the after hours here. Hold on here. I'm going to get to the playlist. Thankfully, after hours is with an A, so I don't have to go way down and because I got 4 trillion after hour, 4 trillion playlists. So that's it. It was yet again more stuff to talk about than can get rammed into an hour. I'd rather have that than not enough. That's for sure. Like I was saying, I'm going to try to figure out a way of changing up the format so that way certain things can get bumped up on the queue, especially for the Great War Gang, or what the heck did you call it, Meandering Mike? Oh, I love it. You're beyond belief, man. You are beyond belief. And you don't even drink coffee. That's what scares me. You don't even have that to get your neurons going. That's what scares me. Maybe that's a good thing. What did you call us? The trench. the trench, darn it, I can't remember what you called it. The trench, whatever. Anyways, you'll let us know. So that's it. I hope you guys have a great remainder of your weekend. Oh, that's it. Trust the trench team. I got to write that. As I'll probably forget. It's almost got I don't know, like a children's thing, a jig. So which is totally fine. I guess you'll hold up. Oh yes, William Arends. Don't you flip and worry about that. Or it could be the team in the trench. Oh yeah, or the trench team, like the time team. Oh well, you know what? Maybe we'll have like a little. We'll have a thing for next week. You guys can figure out what you want to be called. Makes sense to me. So I hope you guys have a great remainder of your weekend. Great week. This was as per bloody usual. One of my highlights of the week. It's just so good. It's so good for my soul. It's not funny. So hold on here. I want to make sure that. Thanks so much. Oh yeah. For sure, Harro, Bosma, and yeah, it was fun as hell, man. I was really enjoying doing that creative writing bit. Zoe Dufour was like, "Oh, it's so great to see a 58-year-old man acting like a child." Whatever. I'm like, "Wow, Trenchfoot would be a good band name." Oh my god, yes, exactly. And I was thinking, you're darn right. We're going to do that. I have to. Okay, hold on before we pot in, because I'm not going to be able to do that. So we've got mine, and then we've got Trust the trench team. And hold on here. I guess, what was the other one? I thought you had something else. So I didn't. We'll figure it out. Team in the trench. That's it. And I'll just put it on, and now I'm going to put on After Hours, and away we go. And it was fun as hell. Oh, Trenchfoot is already being used for a band. That makes sense. I was saying to Zoe Dufour, I was absolutely stunned that the Great War Gang was not used. There's the Great Gang War, but not the Great War Gang, which I thought was, like I said, rather surprising. Okay, I'm about to disappear. Hold on here. I gotta present the screen though. There we go. I hope the worst of winter has already gone through Ottawa. William Arends, my God, I wish I had done a video. Yeah, that was crazy amount of snow. Just sharing me amigos. Oh, well done, man. Well done. Yeah, well, March sometimes can be pretty gross, but that was impressive. That was impressive. All right, so like I said, I'm off to do whatever. I'm going to make sure that what? Oh, good God, that's insane. But yeah, it was mind-boggling the amount of snow that we got in, just shocking. Okay, so anyways, great to see you guys. I'm just going to make that whatever, and that's it. Going to turn my microphone off and just do texts. All right, here we go. The war summary for February 16th to the 22nd, 1917. And just to say, this is the first time in quite a while I haven't read the full war summary. So we'll probably get about halfway through, and then I'm going to be the first time I'm reading it. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully the stuff will be scanned fairly well. All right, here we go. Britain's new war loan has proved a huge success. No figures are yet forthcoming. Sorry, I have to grab the mouse thing here. But the total of the latest contributions to the sinews of war is expected to break all records. Trafalgar Square, which has been the scene of so many popular gatherings, was crowded with enthusiastic demonstrators. It only required this nationwide effort to show that Britain, in this fateful year of decision, has stood the test. On the Somme front, the British on Tuesday night raided the German lines at a point northeast of Gueudecourt and brought back prisoners. North of Luss and west of Messines, German raiding parties were caught by artillery and machine gun fire and forced to retire. Northeast of Ypres, a German force reached a British post but was beaten off with losses. What may prove to be the prelude to increased infantry activity is the official statement that during the past 2 days, an intense artillery fire was kept up at various points along the British line, particularly north of the Somme and in the Ypres zone. Military positions in the rear of the enemy's lines were bombed on Tuesday and Wednesday. Aviators carried on a brisk fight, 3 machines on each side being put out of action. On the Balkan front, northwest of Monastir, the Italians recaptured Hill 1050, east of Paralovo, which was occupied on Monday last by the Germans after a heavy bombardment. A key to the Italian defenses in Albania, the enemy on Tuesday, made a desperate effort to dislodge the Italians, but were driven back with heavy losses. On the rest of the Italian front, the artillery was actively engaged. Sorry, I'm just having a little private little joke here. I'm pretending that since I haven't read the full war summary, I'm pretending it's me getting William Arends' ATA super late. Sorry. The French midnight statement contains no news of outstanding importance. Heavy bombardments were directed against the enemy's organizations at various points. The guns were particularly active in the Haut-Romont and Vaud regions. In Lorraine, the French guns shelled German works at Longvigny, Coincourt, and Bassines. Oh, there's one word I keep looking at. Anyways, I'll shush. On the Yasser, the Belgian lines were again raided at 2 places south of Dixmude. The enemy was driven off by infantry and artillery fire. The big guns were active along the Belgian front. The value of trench raiding, so sedulously practiced by General Haig's men all through the winter, may seem petty in the light of daily reports, but in the aggregate, the results fully justify this policy of persistent nibbling at the enemy's lines. Oh, I just love that the first time I read that. I mean, come on. I mean, the bite and hold and the whole 9 yards. Come on. Apart from the moral effects upon the British troops of daily local triumphs over the German military machine and the corresponding depression in the ranks of the harassed foe, the total gains in territory, in prisoners taken, and in the capture or destruction of enemy strongholds and munitions of war are very material. Major General F.B. Maurice, Chief Director of Military Operations at the War Office, stated yesterday on his return from the Western Front that since the beginning of the year, British trench raids have resulted in an advance of 3/4 of a mile over a front of nearly 6 miles, in addition to the capture of 2,000 German prisoners. The total losses of the British were under 2,000. There are 2 forms of raiding. One at the Somme has for its object the occupation of high ground. The other aims at harrying the enemy and increasing the efficiency of the British soldier. These raiding expeditions have made the Canadian soldier very chesty, according to Major General Maurice. General Haig's army is in fine fettle and straining at the leash. Good Lord. In the opinion of military observers, the new British Army and all the soldierly qualities essential to hard and successful campaigning has never been surpassed in the palmiest days of British arms. German prisoners captured during the past 3 months show a marked inferiority as compared with those taken at an earlier period. They range all the way between 17 and 60 years of age. While it would be foolish to imagine that the German machine is incapable of making a stubborn stand in the final clash of the gigantic armies, evidence is not wanting that in morale and physical stamina, there are visible signs of deterioration. Well, no, shoot. I mean, come on, it's 1917 now, man. They've been going on it for 2 years. 2 Canadian raids on a large scale were carried out on the Western Front. In the biggest raid, the troops entered the trenches occupied by the 11th Bavarians and brought back 47 prisoners. For an hour, the Canadian lads explored the enemy's dugouts and mine shafts, bombing and wrecking the enemy's organization. Locating 4 mine shafts in which German soldiers were tunneling their way towards the Canadian lines, the raiders promptly exploded the works, entombing the Germans. Whoa. I saw that in the articles earlier on. But I just remember on the side note here about, them saying the Germans are doing whatever about, calling up people up to age of 60. Well, let's remember there, we've also been seeing the increase in age range for the Entente as well. So it's both sides here. 2 Canadian raids but I know what's going on. This is not the most non-partisan newspaper. It's partisan. 2 Canadian raids on a large scale were carried out on the Western Front. In the biggest raid, the troops entered the trenches. Oh, I already read that one. I'm like, wait a minute. Winter crop prospects in France are estimated to be 10% below those of last year. The bad condition of the soil at the time of seeding, excessive rains, insufficient supplies of fertilizers, and frost damage are given as the causes for the smaller crops. The weather conditions for spring seeding are regarded as favorable. Food supplies will play a big part in this year's campaign. What it means to Germany particularly is seen in the latest imperial order addressed by the Kaiser to the German Navy, which is quoted in a Berlin dispatch referring to the British as our most hated and most obstinate enemy, who hopes to overthrow the German people by the English war method of starvation. The Emperor invoked the aid of his navy and submarines in checkmating the British designs. Yesterday's toll of 6 vessels of about 7,000 tons in all will bring little joy or comfort to the Prussian warlord. Britain is preparing for every eventuality. Steps for the increase of agricultural production and the further restriction of imports will be taken as a precaution against the submarine danger. In Galicia, German raided Russian lines north of the Tarnopol-Zlakov railway and captured 281 prisoners. Russian mine shafts that menaced the German trenches were destroyed during the raid. It's the first time I've actually ever seen any notice of mine works going on in the Eastern Front. That's pretty cool. The Russian report admits the German raid. East of Lemberg, the enemy attacked the Russian positions. The battle is still proceeding. No great movement is yet reported from the Allied fronts. Both sides are jockeying for positions and testing the mammoth machines of war preparatory to the spring campaign. The only fighting of importance yesterday was in the Champagne region when the Germans scored a local success. There is no news from Kut-el-Amara. In the Champagne region, the Germans claim to have advanced half a mile on a front of 1.5 miles. The official report from Berlin says that 4 French lines were stormed yesterday and that heavy fighting took place on Hill 185 west of Tahur. The Germans captured 858 prisoners. The fighting in this region opened on Wednesday night by 2 successful surprise attacks on German trenches. In the course of Thursday afternoon, the enemy artillery counterattacked with great vigor in La Maison de Champagne sector. The German advance was directed mainly against the French positions at La Maison de Champagne farm and Hill 185, about 600 yards south of the farm. French counterattacks were made on Thursday night and Friday morning, but according to the Berlin account, were repulsed. The Kaiser telegraphed congratulations to the Crown Prince. The French midnight official report admits the salient facts, but makes no mention of the capture of the French defenders, which included 21 officers. The German bombardment swept away the French defenses. As it grew in intensity, it did not seem possible for any human being to survive the terrific fire. The salient attack is situated to the west of Les Maisons de Champagne. While admitting the penetration of their lines, the French claim to have inflicted heavy losses on the enemy by the deadly barrage and flanking fire of their guns. In the Vosges, a German long-range gun fired several shells in the direction of Nancy. February 8th, it is on the Peronne-Bapaume road, about midway between the 2 cities. What the hell just happened there? Hold on here. Did I miss something? Yes, I did. I missed this tiny little bit here. I was like, what in the world's going on here? The British positions at Sailly-Salicelle were heavily shelled during the day. The height of land in this sector was captured by the British on, well, we should know because I just read it, February 8th. It is on the Peronne-Bapaume road, about midway between the 2 cities. West of this position, midway between Ganchy and Sailly, is Morval, which stands on a high hill, the land falling away between that and Bapaume. Great activity was displayed by both sides near Morval. Southeast of Souchez, the British entered the enemy trenches during Thursday night and brought back prisoners. There were no casualties on the British side, a fact of some significance, I would say. Aerial fighting continues. The increasing struggle for aerial supremacy is an indication of the approaching offensive. 9 enemy machines and 5 British were brought down in the overhead fighting. Oh gosh, I love these little tidbits of stuff. Restrictions on British imports contemplated by the government will not apply to bare necessities of life. The reduction in shipping tonnage makes it necessary to cut out non-essential imports and to secure a margin of safety by the steady supply of foodstuffs. Premier Lloyd George's statement on the subject has been postponed until next week. The list of prohibited imports will be extensive and cover many trades. Victims of German submarines yesterday numbered 8 British vessels, representing 8,000 tons of shipping. An elaborate British system of nets and mines promises to reduce the radius of action of the German U-boats. The Scandinavian nations are being drawn into the European vortex. They have vigorously protested against the German submarine blockade as a violation of international law and reserve all rights as to future claims for damages. Beyond this, it is difficult to see what they can do to vindicate their rights as neutral nations. The massing of German troops on the Schleswig border is a sinister warning to Denmark. Of all the little neutrals, Denmark is most vulnerable to attack, and a prize fair to look upon in days when Germany's available food supplies are seriously diminishing. On the Italian fronts, east and south of Gorizia, Austrian detachments attempted to reach the Italian lines. Several bodies of enemy troops were surrounded and captured, and the remainder were dispersed by a withering fire from the trenches. The German blockade of the United States has caused a big congestion at the railway depots and ocean ports of goods intended for export. Only 10% of American commerce is carried by American ships. As sailings of other vessels have been postponed or canceled, one immediate result of Germany's submarine policy has been to dislocate the industrial life of the United States. The Council of National Defense meets daily at Washington to further the coordination of American resources in case of war. The blockade of the United States by Germany is an affront which Uncle Sam is not disposed to swallow. Coming from a nation that would not guarantee the safety on the seas of its own ambassador, Con von Bernstorff. Oh shoot, I still have to do the trivia question. The blockade, if persisted in, can end only in war. While the president is endeavoring to find a solution to the blockade problem, it is satisfactory to know that vessels continue to pass through the danger zone with safety. Since February 5th, when the German blockade went into effect, 220 vessels of various nationalities reached New York Harbor, defying the German pirates. By making Halifax a port of call, many ships which have been held up in American ports will go to sea following the northern course. In this way, some of the export traffic congestion may be relieved. The advantage in machine guns is no longer held by the Germans. One of the big surprises of the war was the abnormal number of these weapons in use by the enemy. Before the war commenced, Germany had 50,000 of these guns, and to these a vast number has been added. The murderous effects of this concentration on mechanical means of killing were seen at Neuve-Chapelle, where the Germans had 15 machine guns along a front of 250 yards. These 15 Maxims, some of which had been made in England, poured into the British attackers 7,500 bullets a minute, in addition to rifle fire and shrapnel. How anything could live in this avalanche of death passes comprehension. A bitter pill for Germany, as Arthur Neville Chamberlain, so whoa, it really is him, Director of National Service, describes it as the enormous success of the new war loan. No official figures have been given out, but the London Nation, a well-informed weekly, mentions $5 billion as near the mark. In some respects, at least Britain was prepared for war. The essential ties of patriotism that make a country one in face of danger were not wanting. Neither was the nation lacking in public spirit or in the means necessary to the financing of a colossal war. The loan is referred to by the London press as the greatest financial triumph in the world's history. On a side note, from a lecture I remember watching, if you actually look at the increase in recruitment, voluntary recruitment in 1914, it actually occurred not at the beginning, like in August of when the British declared war, but when reports were coming back that the BEF were getting smacked around in Europe. That's when people went, oh my God, things are not going well. And also the atrocities of Belgium, of course. Anyway, shush. The British advance in the Ankara region was carried out on a 2-mile front west and southwest of Midimo. And of course, on the flip side could be is when later on you can see the decrease when the reports are going, Jesus, a lot of, you get it. The advance on both sides of the river was made for the purpose of gaining the height commanding that town, to which the enemy had retired after evacuating Grand Cour. A total of 781 prisoners were passed back to the British line, some of whom had been without food for 48 hours. The British guns had cut them off from their supplies. Having gained their first objective, the British pressed forward south of Miramont, but failed to secure the remainder of the high ground owing to a fog, which interfered with the artillery. The fighting for this advantageous ground is still going on. The British airplanes remain aloft during the fog, but were unable to direct the gunfire. One of the incidents reported is that of an artillery officer who, toward the close of the bombardment, crawled out of the trenches with a telephone and directed the fire, which cut the German wire defenses preparatory to the infantry charge. I'd like to know who that person is. The British lines are now advanced to within a few hundred yards of Petit Miramont, north of the Ancre. The British carried out the upper slopes of the hill north of Bellissay-Cour Farm on a front of 1,000 yards. The midnight report states that this new position above Bellissay-Cour Farm was attacked in force by the enemy yesterday morning. The Germans advanced in 3 waves with bodies of supporting troops in the rear. The British artillery drove them back with heavy losses, the enemy at no point succeeding in reaching the British lines. Southwest and northwest of Arras, south of Cuissard and north of Ypres, the British raiding parties entered the German trenches, inflicting many casualties on the enemy. The German report is in direct conflict with that of the British regarding the capture of the positions in the Ancre region. There was great artillery activity yesterday in the vicinity of Bouchev-Vesnain in the Ancre region and in the Ypres region. Boy, I butchered that one. The victory on the Tigris has resulted in the capture of 1,995 Turks. You could have said 2,000 for me, man. According to the official report on Saturday night, the British offensive was resumed on Thursday. Seizing an important point in front of the enemy's right, an attack on the right center followed, resulting in the attainment of the British objective on a front of 700 yards. This was extended by bombing parties to a depth of 500 yards on a frontage of 1,000 yards. The Turkish counterattacks were half-hearted and easily defeated. The British offensive continued on Thursday night, and by dawn on Friday, all the ground in the Dara Bend was in British hands. Among the prisoners were 89 officers, including 2 regimental and 3 battalion commanders, 5 machine guns, 2,500 rifles, and a quantity of ammunition stores were captured. The next important advance of General Maud's force will be on Baghdad. It is known that since Townshend's retreat and capture, Baghdad has been considerably reinforced. Townshend's besieged army capitulated on April 28th last, having held on in hope of relief from December 7th. I'm just going to say this on a side note. I can't remember who the dude is, the guy in charge of defending Baghdad, the Pasha guy, one of them. My God, does he ever do some monster screw-ups, one after the other? It was just like, dude, you've got, I don't want to get, like, he could have flooded the area, there was a zillion things he could have done, and he just doesn't do it. It's like, what are you thinking? Anyways, well, Baghdad's going to fall. Where am I here? Yep. A most significant pronouncement was made on Saturday in London when the Speaker of the House of Commons, the Right Honourable J.W. Lowther, declared that no terms can be made with the present German government. It will be necessary, he said, before signing any peace agreement to insist that it must be with a government different in essence and constitution from the present one. I mean, even the British were freaking out, man. They were so worried that they were going to end up flooding the area. Anyways, German casualties are compiled in London show a grand total since the war began of 4,087,692. The casualties in the German army, exclusive of colonial troops, as reported in the German casualty list in the month of January last, show a total of 77,532 officers and men killed, wounded, prisoners, or missing. 7 British steamers aggregating 20,000 tons were sunk on Saturday and Sunday. The blockade of the United States has not resulted in further action as yet, but it is expected that the president will address Congress on the subject before the adjournment, which takes place on March 4th. The potato scarcity in Britain has led Premier Lloyd George to intervene regarding price and distribution. In Lancashire, there is a potato famine due partly to the protracted frost and largely to the attitude of dealers in regard to prices. Vigorous action is to be taken to relieve the situation and to ensure proper distribution. An official survey of the military situation has been given out by the British War Office. The statement is by a British military authority based on unpublished facts. It strikes a note of confidence as to the coming campaign, which is regarded as the opening of the final stage of the war. Defeated in their opening operations on the Western Front in 1914 and again in 1915 against Russia, the German General Staff at the end of the first 15 months of war were forced to abandon hope of winning and were reduced to defensive warfare. The three offensives of 1916, Verdun, Trentino, and Balkans, were dictated by no grand aims of conquest. The Balkan campaign was necessitated by the menace to communications with Turkey. Verdun was attacked in order to bleed France and to inflict a moral blow on this highly sensitive nation by the capture of the fortress. Their complete failure to destroy either the body or the spirit of France and their inability to prevent an Anglo-French offensive in the West is a matter of history. The Trentino offensive proved a costly enterprise, as in addition to enormous losses, it drew reinforcements from the Galician front, a blunder which enabled Brusilov to smash through the Austrian lines and capture nearly 400,000 prisoners. On another side note, blew me away that this person mentions Verdun was attacked in order to bleed France, because I'm like, okay, that's going to be Falkenhayn's little memoir thing that he says later on. But I'm like, whoa, it's being used already here. This is pretty cool. I'd like to see if it's been used in other parts. I don't know. The Allies' part in the war is also referred to in this official survey. In 1914, their task was to face an enemy who had been preparing for 40 years for such a war. Oh, come on. In less than 40 weeks, this huge German machine has checked in its first advance and later completely broken as an offensive weapon. Initial German failures were followed by a succession of failures, which in the end must prove disastrous to the Central Powers. The building of the British military machine and the supremacy of the seas in British hands proved deciding factors. I'm not going to deny that. What the Brits do is it's mind-boggling. They go from nothing to like kaboom. It's amazing. The coordination of the Allied powers slowly achieved has increased the pressure on the Central Powers, shown in the heavy enemy losses in Galicia and on the Italian front at Verdun and in the Somme region. The chief factors in the past year summed up in the survey is increased efficiency and economy on the Allied side, and a notable decrease of resisting strength on the German side. Coming on the eve of the big offensive, this review of the military situation will increase the confidence of the Allied peoples as to the outcome and stiffen their resolve to endure to the end. Fighting continues on the Tigris. On Saturday last, the British captured the Turkish front lines at Sana'iyat, but later were forced to withdraw to their original position. The enemy occupied strongly fortified lines on the left bank along a front of over 800 yards. Before the British had time to consolidate their newly won ground, the Turks counterattacked in great strength. Forced back by British fire, the Turks delivered a second counterattack half an hour later, when they succeeded in driving back the British right to its original position. Maintaining its ground till dusk, the British left then retired under cover of its artillery. West of the Sherman Bend, to which General Maud's force advanced after the occupation of the Dara Bend, the British made further progress. Heavy rains and mud hold up operations on the Western Front. On the Eastern Front, the cold is still intense. It was a day of comparative quiet, interrupted only by raids and artillery actions on the Western Front. From Arras southward, the British lines continue to show evidence of the high tension that presages the near approach of the new campaign. Continuous raids at different points enable the British to hide from the enemy their real intentions and also aid in identifying the German units opposed to them. Yesterday, east of Souchez, damage was done to the enemy trenches in a morning raid. A German mine shaft was located and destroyed, and several dugouts bombed. Near Messines and north of Armentières, the British raided the enemy's lines. The activity of the artillery was the only other break in the comparative calm. The British lines now command Miramont. In this region, a slight rise in the ground, such as the nature of the country, may give the observer a clear range of 30 miles. On the French front, it was a day of artillery engagements on both sides. In Alsace, the French surprised the enemy at Barenconf, north of Munster, and captured some prisoners. 4 vessels were sunk yesterday, involving an estimated loss of about 10,000 tons of shipping. The ships that now fall victims to the enemy submarines are small boats, too slow in speed to be able to maneuver quickly. Although precautions have to be taken to ensure a margin of safety and food reserves, the situation in Britain is far from being either critical or desperate. The Germans set out to destroy 1 million tons of shipping a month. For the first week, only did the destruction near the daily average aimed at by Berlin of 33,000 tons. The number of ships sunk is only a third of the British and neutral tonnage, which Germany confidently hoped to send to the bottom in her third submarine campaign. One ship owner, Lord Furness, states that his firm is turning out 2 vessels for every one sunk by the enemy. Oh my God, and remember, the convoy system hasn't even kicked in yet. My God. The new British domestic loan has reached the grand total of at least $3.5 billion. And the Americans are building ships like there's no tomorrow right now. $1.5 billion exclusive of contributions from the banks. And remember, they're going to confiscate all the Austrian vessels as well. And now the German ones are going to be turned into American vessels. So great was the rush in the last few days that 300,000 applications have not yet been dealt with. Judging by Mr. Bonarlaw's remarks, the government may not call upon the banks for support at the present juncture, the amount considered necessary having been exceeded. Now, what were the, remember it was the big and little ships. The big one was the Vardar or something, and the little dude was the Neptune, I do believe. The situation in Greece is not wholly satisfactory, according to a London dispatch. The representatives of the Allied powers have explained in a published statement that the continuance of the blockade is due to the failure of the Greek government at Athens to meet the demands of the Allies with regard to the delivery of arms. Until all the arms are handed over, the blockade of the Greek coast will continue. Yeah, that's blockade a neutral country. The number of prisoners captured in the British advances over a wide front is comparatively small, and it's accounted for by the German methods for the economy of their manpower in this third year of war. Driven from the air and their artillery, blind through lack of aerial observers, the Germans have been forced to adopt new tactics. When attacks grow in intensity, the enemy evacuate their first-line trenches. As soon as they retire, the German guns, which have got the range, shell the British raiders. By this method, they hope to save their men and make up British advances more costly. Austrian jealousy of Germany is reported by an Associated Press correspondent to be particularly bitter. Austria has fought bravely, but her heart is not in the war. Austria, it is believed, has some 50 divisions in the field, largely grouped together. The actual administration of the Austrian army is still in Austrian hands, a fact which may prove perilous for Germany should the peace feeling in Vienna become irresistible. The new emperor, I'm glad they mentioned him, it is reported has deliberately strengthened the powers of the Austrian general staff. In the event of a separate peace, the difficulties in the way will be lessened. Hungarian discontent, just because of the page, I'm not going to be, that's going to be a weird one at the bottom there. Holy moly. Hungarian discontent with the progress, it's almost like a Friday afternoon scan, isn't it? Hungarian discontent with the progress of the war is shown by the newspaper attacks on the present submarine warfare. The condition of Austria at the present time must be far from satisfactory to the German military command, something, but kept in the field owing to the concessions made to Prussia has blah, blah, blah sediment. It now looks as if the Hungarian problem was something or other, becoming a menace to Germany's military domination. And yep, something else, I don't know. The failure of the Zeppelins, not a change of heart, and the abandonment of their policy of frightfulness is the real reason for the temporary cessation of. Yeah, but there was just a Zeppelin bombing just a couple of days ago. So what's going on here? Or maybe it's in a couple of days from now. We're not going to say it's from the article. Yeah, it would be. It'd be the 22nd. So it's not. Well, we're not here yet. French Viscount French, who is responsible for anti-aircraft defenses, have increased enormously the vulnerability of the big airships. In all 19 raids on Britain made by German airships, 17 by airplanes, the defenses have proved so successful. In very few cases, they've reached the enemy objective. Okay. On the Bapaume Road. Hold on, I just got to get my mouse thing there. One of the small advanced positions held by the British south of, that's the word I wanted to go and look it up, darn it, and I didn't do it before this. Le whatever. See, it's my brain, eh? Was rushed under cover of, I got to do it again, under cover of heavy bombardment and liquid fire. Le François is about 4 miles from Bapaume and about 2 miles north of Sailly-Salicel. I think it could be Le François. Just can't do it yet. I'll have to go on Google pronunciation or something or other. Where the British guns on the height of land command the road to Bapaume. In the advance south of Le François, the British are fighting uphill. Southwest of that other word I had a hard time with, the enemy exploded a mine, but with, well, one of many, that's not the only other, but without causing any damage. The British guns were busy during the day in the region of Sailly-Salicel, La Bassée, Messines, and that word. Hold on here. The submarine blockade of Britain has failed to accomplish its ends. Lord Robert Cecil, Minister of Blockade, stated in the House yesterday that German undersea boats have had very little effect on the entry into British ports of supplies. It has hurt trade between neutrals as these vessels, which formerly called at British ports to avoid search on the high seas, are deterred by the submarine danger from following this practice. The important fact alluded to by Lord Cecil is that the actual number of vessels sunk by the enemy is small in comparison with the number of those that pass safely through the danger zone. Shipping losses yesterday amounted to 5,000 tons. 2 Newfoundland fishing smacks, whoa, what an interesting word. Smacks were among the victims. I'm going to have to find out about that. The British authorities do not regard the submarine campaign as a bluff. Its chief terror, however, is not the wholesale destruction it threatened, but in its uncertainty of attack and erratic blows. For this reason, and to meet neutral wishes, ports have been selected, including Halifax, where neutral ships may be examined. Sir Edward Carson is expected to make a statement today as to the measures taken by the Admiralty, of which he is the head, to meet the submarine menace. Yeah, that's also, they want to make sure that contraband are not going, they're not stupid. The German embargo on American shipping is causing a chaotic tangle. Many industries are seriously endangered by the practical cessation of export traffic, and there is a serious shortage of railway cars owing to, I can't say that word, and speculators holding shipments in the cars by paying demurrage charges. The virtual blockade of Uncle Sam's Atlantic coast has resulted also in the soaring of food prices, with consequent distress in the poorer quarters of New York City, where 1,000 women took part on Monday last in food riots. Within a year, the price of potatoes has risen from $3.25 to $9 a sack of 165 pounds. Since December 1st last, the price of onions has jumped from $3 to what the hell? $15.50 per 100 pounds. The poorer people are suffering greatly from lack of nourishment. Among the causes that have contributed to high prices are speculation and railway congestion. And on a side note, I didn't know that Gotham is an actual place. I found that out this week in the headlines. I was like, whoa, I didn't know that. That's what that people they were getting, remember they got caught, espionage thingamajig. Preparations for war have not slackened in the United States. The president may ask Congress for extraordinary powers in the event of the situation calling for drastic action. The feeling in Germany is that war with the United States is inevitable. Stern measures have been adopted in the Republic to smash the German spy system. Ah, that's it, which Bernstorff was permitted to bring to such perfection. It is rumored that the arming of American mercantile vessels has been decided upon. Oh yeah, thanks for, I'm glad they brought that paragraph in. Yeah, it was, remember they were, those spies were collecting information on British, anything to do with British that would help them figure out what was going on with the British military situation. The National Council of Defense has called upon 20,000 American firms to report at once as to their capacity and readiness for turning out munitions and other needed military supplies. My God, talk about perfect saying, eh, for loose lips. Sinks, whoa, that's just awesome. Steps have taken to secure that on the declaration of war, the entire industrial organization of the national shall immediately be mobilized for the making of munitions and other supplies. Oh, brother. Where America may lend effectual aid to the Allies is in the supply of food and money. The Republic possesses about 200 million cattle, sheep, and swine, and about 25 million horses and mules. And remember, they were saying that the American Western, I don't know, whatever, horses are really, really good. They're excellent horses for the front, not like the farm horses, which just suck. These would ensure the Allied nations food, clothing, and leather, and a supply of war horses. The United States fleet is in good fighting condition and at least 40% as great as Germany's. What the Republic lacks is small submarine chasers. But in addition to the building of such a mosquito fleet, it should be possible to get together in a short time a sufficient number of patrol boats to guard the coast. There are 300 trained aviators in the United States, which about the same number of machines. Austria has been asked to define her position regarding submarine warfare. And I think the United States actually do send some subs over. They don't sink anything, but they cause enough. Just having their presence there causes the Germans to think twice about doing things. So it's a deterrent, and it worked. A small Turkish garrison on the Sinai Peninsula at Bir el Hassana was rounded up and captured. 24 prisoners were taken. The garrison at Tikil fled on the approach of the British, leaving some prisoners behind. Egypt has been effectively relieved of the dangers that threatened on both frontiers. On the Somme front, the thaw has not interfered with the raiding activities of the British troops. North of Guidacourt, a section of the German trenches was captured and 21 prisoners taken. At other points along the British front, successful enterprises were carried out. South of Armentières, the British rushed the enemy's trenches along a front of over 600 yards. Passing over the front trenches, the British pushed out into the German positions, inflicting heavy casualties and bringing back 44 prisoners. Southeast of Ypres, a similar raid was successfully carried out along a front of 500 yards. Here also, the defenders seem to have offered a feeble resistance. The British advanced as far as the support lines, killing many of the enemy and blowing up dugouts and mine shafts. Wrecking the German defenses, the British returned with 114 prisoners and 4 machine guns. North of the Somme, at a number of points between Armentières and Ypres, the British guns were actively engaged. The submarine peril, while admittedly serious and growing, will be overcome. Such is the assurance of Sir Edward Carson, First Lord of the Admiralty, in his statement to the House on the naval estimates, which provide for 400,000 men for the Navy. Sir Edward was careful not to minimize the blockade danger. It is not yet solved, he declared, but I am confident measures now being devised will gradually mitigate its seriousness. The additional men required are for naval expansion. Figures were given showing the losses during the past 3 months. The estimated number of ships in the danger zone at any one time is 2,000. Yet the number sunk during 3 months is only 343 ships, representing 750,000 tons of shipping. If Germany hoped to frighten the British sailor off the seas, her object has not been accomplished. Not a single British sailor has refused to face the added perils of the sea. During the first 18 days of this month, 13,000 vessels continue to ply between British ports. What has troubled the Admiralty is the nervousness of neutral skippers. This, it is hoped, will be overcome in time. In future, neutral ships must call at stated British ports for examination. Plymouth Port has been closed to all neutral shipping. I'm just going to say this on a side note. I wonder if right now they're having that big, a lot of conversation and discussion and debate going on about, because remember, there was a lot of pro and anti convoy going on right now. I'm wondering, because now remember, the Americans, I think, have always been pro convoy. So I'm wondering if they're going to start getting, pardon the pun, sticking their oar in now, kind of going. It's still early days for them. They haven't declared war yet, for God's sakes. But I'm just like, Anyways, a tribute to the Navy was paid by Sir Edward Carson, who stated that 8 million men and 9 million tons of explosives, in addition to petrol and other supplies, had been convoyed between England and the various theaters of war, but not the way we're thinking, or at least I'm thinking. Lord Fisher's return to the Admiralty as president of a board of inventions has been announced. Cool. In his 76th year, Lord Fisher may do much in this anti-submarine department to crown a long life of devoted service to the Empire. Responsible for the introduction of the dreadnought, which revolutionized naval warfare, he was responsible also as first Sea Lord for the change in British naval strategy, which Germany at the time feared most of all, the concentration of the fleet in the North Sea. He may be said to have been the organizer of victory for this war, insofar as naval supremacy has determined the fate of Germany. Fisher at the Admiralty will create a feeling of confidence throughout the British Isles. And boy, that's in the that'll be in the fact checker, so it's already been done. 40 fights with German submarines took place during the first 18 days of February. How many of these resulted in the loss of the enemy submarine is not stated. The arming of British merchantmen is proceeding more rapidly. Of armed vessels, 78% escaped the submarines, while 24% only of unarmed vessels attacked succeed in getting away. Wait until you see the percentage difference in convoys, man. It is wild. That's right. They do an experiment. That's right. At the very beginning right now, they're going to be doing an experiment. Some ships going between England and France will be using the convoy system, and others won't. And that's when they go, oh my God! They see the drought. It's monster. The British blockade of the Central Powers has been tightened considerably, and this, as Mr. Winston Churchill pointed out, without losing the goodwill of neutral nations. The building of mercantile ships is in full swing. Not a single ship will be unoccupied during the coming month. A reported strike of Krupp workers is not confirmed. It is not at all likely that a strike would be allowed to go on for 2 weeks. No kidding. The Krupp works are the heart of the German military machine. Any dislocation of industry there would be a serious blow to Germany. It is said that the men complain of low wages and scanty rations. The blockade must be telling seriously on the toilers of Germany. Low diet is not conducive to hard work or to loyalty. Hindenburg is dissatisfied with the progress of events, who was ill supposedly a little while ago, so I haven't figured out if he was. In an order which has fallen into British hands, he confesses that the Verdun operations resulted in serious and regrettable reverses. He attributes this to incapable officers and to the low morale of the German troops engaged. It has been reported that the Crown Prince has chagrined at the refusal of the Kaiser to make him a field marshal. Verdun has proved to be one of the turning points in this war. Hindenburg shows deep concern over the number of prisoners taken by the French in the struggle for possession of the fortress city. Business in the United States is becoming disorganized through shortage of cars due to the submarine blockade, and at all the Chicago grain elevators is practically at a standstill. Oh, rail cars, I get it. The president of the Chicago Board of Trade anticipates food riots and serious trouble in some of the cities if present conditions continue. A rupture between Austria and the United States is regarded as imminent. Great interest is centered in the fate of those two American vessels, the Rochester and Orleans, which are in the danger zone. The feeling in Germany against the United States is increasing in bitterness. It was a quiet day on the French Western Front, save for artillery actions at various points. From the remaining theaters, this is the last one, from the remaining theaters of war, no incidents of note are reported. The blockade of Greece has become more stringent. Berlin reports a French repulse with heavy casualties in an attempt to recapture Hill 185 south of Ripon in the Champagne region, which the Germans took several days ago. Some fighting by British troops took place between the Vardar and Lake Doran on the North Macedonian front. And there we go. And I hope that went well. I hope you have a great remainder of your weekend and a great week. And I hope to see you for live stream 109. All right. See you later.